Foreign Language Skills, Module 7. 7.1.
Welcome to Great Britain and the best of British countryside. This landscape is incredibly varied, from the sweeping coastlines to the rolling hills and majestic mountains. And with a mild climate and plenty of rain, this really is a green and pleasant land that I'm about to explore. There are 15 national parks in Great Britain, and one of the most beautiful is here in the Lake District. It's the second largest national park in Britain and is full of scenic mountains and picturesque lakes. In the heart of the Lake District is Lake Windermere, the largest natural lake in England. It's over 18 kilometres long and around 66 metres deep, so it's fairly easy to find. This area is said to be one of the most beautiful in Great Britain. In the past, boats transported slate, timber and wool across the lake, and fishing was really important here. Hiya, one ticket for the Windermere Lake Cruise, please. Hello, Jackie.
Hello, Richard.
Jackie O'Connor of Lake Windermere Cruises is giving me a private tour of the lake. Jackie, this is lovely. How many people choose to see the lakes like this every year?
Richard, we carry on average 1.35 million passengers a year on our boats.
And why do you think so many people find this area appealing?
Oh, I think basically all you have to do, Richard, is just look around you. Look at this absolutely stunning scenery. It's absolutely beautiful. They come to get away, to enjoy the peace and tranquility, to come to have a look at the nature. It's also, Windermere Lake Cruises is one of the top tourist attractions in the northwest of England. So when you come to this area, to come and cruise on the lake is definitely, it must be done.
And you obviously love coming out here and love being part of all of this?
I do, it's fantastic. It's just a beautiful area to live, really nice, lovely, friendly, peaceful. It's great.
Well, I'm wild about Windermere, but what about Wales? Just over the border, there's some stunning countryside at another national park. One of the most visited parks is Snowdonia in Wales. 6 million people come to visit the incredible mountains every year. Wales is famous for its mountains, but also countryside closer to sea level. This fishing village on the north coast has 3 kilometres of sweeping bay, offering a sheltered harbour to visitors from around the world.
Module 7. 7.2.
I decided to build Titan City because I always had an interest in architecture and the way buildings worked. And when I bought the game, I just saw it as a fun way to get out any architectural ideas I had, or if I wanted to recreate a building I saw in real life. I'm also inspired by all of the skyscrapers that are popping up all over the world today. I used a special program to count how many blocks were in the city, and the number it came to was roughly 4.5 million blocks used. And it wasn't that hard laying down that many blocks. It was tedious at times, but I usually multitasked while building. Like I would build and watch a movie at the same time, or do some light homework while building. The city was built over the span of 2 years. I'm not sure how much time I actually spent building. The game has kind of broadened my horizons and introduced me to 3D effects in movies. That's what I'm trying to learn in school right now, and hopefully get a job in the future.
Module 7. 7.3.
I live in a small town called Farley. It's in the southwest of England. It's near the mouth of a river, about 6 miles from the coast. There aren't any beaches in the town itself, but there are some not far away, about 8 miles. The town was an important fishing port when I was young. My dad worked in the harbour, bringing fish off the boats and selling them to the local shops, restaurants and traders from further away. In my granddad's time, the port was even more important. Back then, coal, food, wood, cloth, and all kinds of things were brought here by sea. That's why there are so many small houses beside the river. They were built about 130 years ago for the port workers and fishermen. Now they are empty for most of the year. They were bought as second homes. The owners stay in them for a few weeks a year and rent them out for the summer. But for the rest of the year, nobody lives there. It's such a shame. This busy, important town is now silent. It's terrible for the local businesses. Our local restaurants only open for a few months and then they close too. Lots of young people have moved away because they can't get jobs. The houses are too expensive and there's nothing for them to do here. It's really sad. I guess there are some positives though. The river is a lot cleaner than it used to be when I was a boy. I remember going fishing with my dad sometimes. The river was really smelly and full of rubbish. Now it's much more pleasant and I catch a lot more fish. And out of season, the beaches are empty. The houses are better maintained now too. The owners keep them nicely painted so that tourists want to stay in them. And there's work for the people who remain here as gardeners, cleaners. I do that sort of work myself, vacuuming and changing the sheets and towels between guests.
Module 7. 7.4.
Even though it's big enough to be a city, Shrewsbury is a town, a fact which brings pride to many residents. The local football club is called Shrewsbury Town, and Shrewsbury promotes itself as the town of flowers thanks to its prestigious annual flower show and winning prizes in the annual televised floral competition Britain in Bloom, most notably receiving the Champion of Champions award in 2014. But what makes Shrewsbury a town? And what does being a town even mean? There are generally considered to be 4 types of settlement: hamlet, village, town, and city. Hamlets are rural, with a very small population, perhaps less than 100. A village is larger than a hamlet, with up to a few thousand residents. Towns are one size bigger, with usually between 10,000 and 100,000 residents, and cities are urban centres with the largest populations and most infrastructure. So town is smaller than a city, but larger than a village. However, that is not all it implies. Town sounds homely and old, and therefore creates a sense of stability and community, as opposed to the city, where innovation and change happens, giving city a feeling of purpose and importance, but also unease and instability. London is sometimes known as London Town, despite its being a city, as a sort of endearment. London Town implies love and pride for living in or coming from London. Although places legally classed as cities have no different rights from towns, the title implies prestige. In the UK, city status has to be granted by a monarch. Whilst there is no specific criteria nowadays to becoming a city, in the past there have been guidelines and specifications. In the 16th century, King Henry VIII gave the title of city to places that had a cathedral. However, when he offered to build a cathedral in Shrewsbury and make it a city, the locals declined, opting to remain a town instead. Today, this rejection of city status is a source of pride to many who live in Shrewsbury. Shared pride can foster a sense of community. What ties your locality together? Where you live, what do people take most pride in?
Module 7. 7.5.
Why do we like sightseeing so much? I think it's because we want to see all the famous places we learnt about when we were at school. I remember learning about the pyramids in Egypt and really wanting to visit them. Many years later, I did. I was one of the thousands of sightseers who crawled around the pyramids on a hot Cairo day. I learnt after that to go sightseeing early in the morning. That way you get to the sites before the tour groups have even woken up. It's lovely to have a world-famous site all to yourself in the morning. There are so many sights to see, it's difficult to know where to begin or where to go next. I want to go and see every site in the world. Early in the morning, of course.
Module 7. 7.6.
So, what do you want to do tomorrow?
Well, let's look at the city guide here.
Okay.
Here's something interesting.
Oh.
Why don't we first visit the art museum in the morning?
Okay, I like that idea. And where do you want to eat lunch?
How about going to an Indian restaurant? The guide recommends one downtown, a few blocks from the museum.
Now that sounds great. And after that, what do you think about visiting the zoo? Well, it says here there are some very unique animals not found anywhere else.
Well, to tell you the truth, I'm not really interested in going there.
Really?
Yeah. Why don't we go shopping instead? There's supposed to be some really nice places to pick up souvenirs.
Nah, I don't think that's a good idea. We only have a few traveler's checks left, and I only have $50 left in cash.
No problem. We can use your credit card to pay for my new clothes.
Oh, no. I remember the last time you used my credit card for your purchases.
Oh, well. Let's take the subway down to the seashore and walk along the beach.
Now that sounds like a wonderful plan.